To another landmark deal in the United States now. The Los Angeles Lakers have smashed the record sale of a US sporting franchise after the Buss family agreed to a deal valued at $10 billion with the Chelsea co-owner Mark Walter. Walter, who's also owner of the LA Dodgers franchise, has sporting investments in Cadillac's Formula One team, the Billie Jean Cup and the Professional Women's Hockey League. The sale is nearly $4 billion more than the previous record set by the Boston Celtics earlier this year. The Buss family, who've owned the Lakers since 1979, bought the franchise for just $67.5 million. The deal works out at roughly £7.5 billion, which is £3 billion more than Chelsea were sold for in 2022. Well, one of the Lakers' greatest ever players, Magic Johnson, has given it his seal of approval on X. He said Mark Walter is the best choice and will be the best caretaker of the Lakers brand. The proof is in the pudding on what he's been able to accomplish with the LA Dodgers. Mark has been nothing short of a winner, notching 2 World Series and 11 NL West divisional titles in the last 12 years. Right now to another landmark deal in the United States. The Los Angeles Lakers have smashed the record sale of a US sporting franchise after the Buss family agreed to a deal valued at $10 billion with the Chelsea co-owner Mark Walter. Well, for more on this, we can speak to Mark Medina, an NBA expert who's covered the Lakers for a number of years. Mark, really good to speak to you about this. Did you ever think you would see the day when the Buss family didn't control a majority stake in the Lakers?
I didn't. I remember talking to Jeannie Buss in her office several years ago and asked that very question on if the Buss family would ever sell. And she would often say that her father worked very hard to make it to this point so that the Buss family could keep the franchise forever. Now, she said those words in 2015. There's so much that has changed since then. Philip Anschutz sold his minority shares to Mark Walter in 2021. The value of NBA franchises have skyrocketed with recent sales with the LA Clippers, the Dallas Mavericks, and the Boston Celtics. And the franchise value with the Lakers soared even more after acquiring Luka Doncic. So I think it became one of these things where it's too good to pass up because the money's very good.
It's all been agreed, but just how close is Walter to actually sealing the deal?
Oh, it's very close. I think it's all but official. It was approved by a majority vote within the Buss family. So now it's just about dotting the I's and crossing the T's.
What about the fans' perspective then? Because we've mentioned the Buss family have owned the Lakers since 1979. How has this gone down with the fans?
Well, I think there's been a lot of excitement for this because they know Mark Walters' background. As you alluded to, he has a lot of ownership stakes, including with the Chelsea soccer team, but he also has a majority owner stake with the ownership group that owns the Dodgers. And so there's a lot of Los Angeles fans who are very familiar with what he's done with the Dodgers, with being very committed to spending in the organization. And I think that they expect them to do that with the Lakers. And the one thing to keep in mind, even though the Lakers are an iconic global franchise that have won 17 championships, have a lot of star power with players like Magic Johnson, Kobe Bryant, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Shaquille O'Neal, it goes down the line. This was always a family-owned business, and this was the only source of revenue that the Buss family had. So they would spend a lot on the star players, and they cared about winning, but they're also very judicious when it came to spending with role players, coaches, front office members, staff members. And I think the expectation with Mark Walter is that he's not going to spare any expense whatsoever. So there's a lot of appreciation for the Buss family. He bought the franchise for $67.5 million in 1979, as well as the Forum, the Kings Hockey Club, and some real estate. And he's had a great track record. But I think there's even more excitement because in 2025, today's ownership groups need to be in a position to spend a lot more money.
Yeah, and not a bad profit that it seems like they're making there. I mean, $10 billion, a record deal. It means it's almost worth double the price of the Boston Celtics in March. What do you think is going to happen? Do you expect the value of these sports franchises just to keep going up and up?
Yes, I think it's inevitable. It's going to keep going up and up. Now, the Lakers, they're the most iconic franchise in all of sports. But we have to, in all of the NBA, I mean, but we have to keep in mind a few things. They did not sell the Lakers in its totality. The Buss family still has a minority share, and they also didn't sell this franchise with an arena attached. They still have a stake with that with AEG. So I would suspect that if the New York Knicks were ever sold, it would be even higher. Same thing with the Golden State Warriors. But again, the Lakers are an iconic franchise. So there's a reason why right now they're the most valued franchise in the NBA.
And we are seeing more and more American owners over here in the Premier League and in other leagues in this country. When you see these record figures for teams in the United States, do you think that they see that they're getting perhaps more value in England?
Yeah, there's certainly a lot of value overseas and domestically now. How does that compare to the NBA? Remains to be seen. I know that Forbes currently lists Manchester United at about $6.5 billion, Liverpool at $5 billion. The NBA media rights deal that's going to kick in next fall is now valued for $75 billion for the next 11 years. But I think the bottom line is professional sports are a profitable commodity, and that's why there's a lot of bidding from very rich and smart owners to try to be involved.
Mark, great to speak to you. We appreciate your insight. Thank you so much for joining us.
Lakers news. LeBron James names Meta World Peace as the toughest defender he's ever faced. That was the moment I realized, this league is real. After 2 decades of dominating the NBA, LeBron James has seen, and overcome, just about every elite perimeter defender the league has had to offer. From lockdown specialists to gritty role players, countless defenders have tried to slow him down. Most have failed. But there's one name that still stands out to LeBron after all these years, Meta World Peace. On the latest episode of the Mind the Game podcast with Steve Nash, LeBron was asked a simple but loaded question. Who was the toughest defender you ever faced? Without hesitation, he answered, Ron Artest. Meta World Peace now. Strong as a bull. Quick laterally. Hands like a thief. LeBron didn't just throw Meta's name out casually, he told a story. One that took him back to his very first year in the league. Just 18 years old, fresh out of high school, and already carrying the weight of sky-high expectations, LeBron found himself matched up with a defensive beast in his prime, Ron Artest, then with the Indiana Pacers. He was so good with his hands, quick laterally, strong as a bull, LeBron said. We played a game when I was just a kid, and man, it was a battle. That game showed me what the NBA was really about. James recalled Artest, now Meta World Peace, as someone who made him think every time down the floor, someone who didn't just guard you, he tested you. He made me realize, okay, this is real. This is what the league is about. Stay locked in, because this is a grown man test. And I loved it. A defensive force that left a lasting impression. Facing Meta wasn't just a challenge, it was a defining experience for young LeBron. In his rookie season with the Cleveland Cavaliers, he landed in the same division as Artest's Pacers. That year, Artest would go on to win the NBA's Defensive Player of the Year award, and LeBron got a front-row seat to what elite defense looked like. It's not often that James reflects on his early years with that kind of clarity and reverence. And the fact that, out of all the defenders he's faced, Kawhi Leonard, Tony Allen, Bruce Bowen, Draymond Green, he names Meta first? That speaks volumes. Meta World Peace wasn't just tough. He was relentless. And for LeBron, he was the first true welcome to the NBA moment. LeBron has no plans to coach after retirement. While fans are already dreading the day LeBron steps off the court for good, many have speculated about what might come next. Would he take over a front office? Buy a team? Or maybe coach? Well, according to LeBron himself, that last one is a hard no. When asked on Mind the Game if he could ever see himself as a head coach, LeBron laughed off the idea. No chance, he said flatly. It makes sense. After 20 years of game prep, film study, and carrying teams deep into the playoffs, LeBron likely isn't looking to sign up for another lifetime of 82 game grinds from the sidelines. Coaching takes a different kind of commitment, and LeBron seems ready to explore new roles once his playing days are over. Final thoughts. LeBron James has faced, and beaten, the best defenders in the world. But the fact that he still remembers the battles with Meta World Peace so vividly says something powerful. It's not just about scoring. It's about being challenged. It's about respect. And maybe that's what makes LeBron who he is. Not just the talent, but the way he honors the game, remembers its warriors, and understands what it took to become the player he is today. The ripple effect of LeBron's respect for Meta. LeBron's praise for Meta world peace didn't just highlight a personal memory. It reignited a conversation around one of the most misunderstood and at times underappreciated defenders in NBA history. Meta, formerly known as Ron Artest, had a reputation that often overshadowed his skill: physical, intimidating, emotional. But hearing someone like LeBron James, widely considered the greatest player of his generation, single out Meta as the toughest defender he ever faced offers powerful validation of the defensive legacy world peace left behind. Almost immediately after the podcast aired, fans and former players flooded social media with their own stories and memories of Meta's defense. Clips of his battles with Kobe Bryant, Paul Pierce, and yes, a young LeBron, began circulating again. He wasn't just physical, he was smart, one fan wrote. He could read plays 2 steps ahead. Even players like Draymond Green and Patrick Beverley chimed in on X, formerly Twitter, calling Meta the blueprint for how to defend in an era filled with offensive superstars. LeBron's comments reshaped the legacy conversation. For years, debates about the best defenders of the 2000s often focused on names like Bruce Bowen, Ben Wallace, and Kawhi Leonard. But with one honest reflection, LeBron may have just moved Meta world peace back into that elite conversation, and rightfully so. It's easy to forget that during his peak years with the Pacers, Meta was a two-way monster, averaging nearly 20 points per game while locking down the opposing team's best scorer. His 2003-04 Defensive Player of the Year award came during the same season LeBron entered the league, making their early battles all the more impactful. That James still remembers them so vividly, and holds that experience with such high regard, reveals just how formative those matchups were. Why this matters to the Lakers, then and now. The connection between Meta and LeBron isn't just historical trivia. It's deeply relevant to the current Lakers culture. Meta World Peace would later join the Lakers and win a championship alongside Kobe in 2010. He's still deeply respected in the organization and among its fans, not just for his game-saving moments, like that unforgettable Game 7 three-pointer versus the Celtics, but for his growth, humility, and honesty. LeBron's public respect toward Meta subtly reinforces a larger message. The Lakers are built on defense, resilience, and a legacy of toughness. It's a standard that stretches from Meta's era to LeBron's reign, and hopefully, into the future of players like Anthony Davis and the next generation of Lakers. A glimpse into LeBron's basketball soul. LeBron James didn't have to mention Meta. He could have gone with easier answers, more recent rivals or more popular names. But instead, he chose honesty. And in that honesty, we get a rare look into what made LeBron LeBron. Someone who remembers who pushed him, who made him think, who tested him early when everything felt new and the league felt overwhelming. Ron Artest, now Meta World Peace, was one of those first tests, and that memory still lives in LeBron's mind, not as a challenge, but as a lesson he carries to this day. What's next for both legends? Meta continues to work in player development and mental health advocacy, using his platform to mentor younger athletes, something LeBron clearly appreciates, given his own leadership role in the league. Meanwhile, LeBron has made it clear, coaching isn't in the cards, but his legacy as a teacher of the game is already cemented. Whether it's mentoring his son Bronny or sharing moments like this one, James is always paying it forward.